Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning to you all. I hope you guys are feeling well out there and having yourselves a great start to your day. Great weekend out there so far as we make our way to the end of it and to the start of another work week. We got some active times coming up, and one of the active times is today. For your Sunday, we got some severe weather to talk about as kind of what we were thinking. This is uptrended, and now we have an enhanced risk, which does include the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So some highly populated areas could be under the gun for some severe weather today. We'll talk about that in the beginning of the video, kind of like what we did last night. And then we'll start to break down the severe weather event coming up here in the next 48 to 72 hours. And then we have a crazy early April blizzard that is going to impact a lot of people in a pretty large geographical area. This could be historic. The National Weather Service is the most aggressive of all the models I've seen. They're going for like upwards to over 2 feet of snow in certain areas of the Dakotas. So this is going to be potentially historic and life-threatening, even on the cold weather side. So we'll break down both things and we'll figure it out for you guys. I want to remind y'all, we'll get much more detailed, even more detailed than what we're about to do in this video. Here in the next 24 hours, we'll be in range of some of these short-range models. We'll really begin to pretty much see what the evolution of the severe weather, basically the storm mode of how this can unfold for everybody impacted by the severe weather. So we'll really begin to get a good idea of that. And we'll mention the small towns, the cities outside of the household name cities that we kind of all know about in each state. We'll try to get even more detail with that, kind of like what we did with the last severe weather event. But with that being said, if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider subscribing, like the video if you do like it. And last night's video was the biggest video since December, and I just want to thank y'all for that. The growth is massive right now, and it's really great to see. I've been putting a lot of effort in these videos. They've been extremely long. They've taken a lot of time, and just thank y'all for the feedback, all the nice comments, everything that y'all said. Even there's been even some constructive criticism, and I'm cool with that if it's presented, in a respectful way, which you guys have. So just thank y'all for everything. We really appreciate it. The growth has been unreal. So thank y'all for that. But if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, you guys know the deal. Please put it in the comments below so I can do that. I can pray over it. And I promise you, it's a family type atmosphere here. Others will pray for it also. So let's get rolling this morning. A lot to discuss. As you can tell, there's about a million tabs pulled up. But this is, it's even harder, excuse me, it's even harder to see this morning. But there's this piece of energy right into here, and we'll go on and wake this thing up over here. It's kind of right into this area. This will continue to kind of trail off in this general direction. And then a little bit today, we will have some thunderstorms that will quickly erupt in this area right into here. And they'll even drift all the way into the deep south as we get into our Monday morning. So this is going to be the area that we watch for today. This system has nothing to do with this other big system that's going to dig down here and then eventually kind of shoot across the country like that, maybe even further north, but a huge upper mid-level trough will shoot across, will dig across the western U.S. with a surface low that will pop off the base of it. So let's keep rolling. That's kind of what's going on. This deadly system is finally, good riddance. It's heading off into the North Atlantic, and we're done with that. Watches, warnings, advisories, red flag warnings in this hot pink color right here, where we'll have another system that will not provide any rain, just strong winds, and the fire danger is here. And it's even here in Missouri and a few counties in Kansas where we just, are we going to have any rain or are we not? That's what we got to figure out. Where is the initiation of these storms? Winter storm watches up for almost every county in South Dakota, except southeast South Dakota, many counties in Nebraska. It's going to be a big event for you guys in Nebraska too, mainly talking about the western and northwestern part of the state, and then a lot of North Dakota winter storm watches. And I mean, you got winter storm watches pretty south into Minnesota, not quite into the Minneapolis metro area, which I don't think you guys are going to get winter storm type conditions. But I mean, you guys got a big winter storm a couple days ago, a lot more snow than originally I was thinking at the very beginning stages of the storm. But winter storm warnings up for Wyoming. A lot of these watches will get upgraded to blizzard warnings. This is going to be an all-out blizzard, maybe the biggest blizzard of the winter season in April. Okay, so definitely a lot to discuss. This is for today. Okay, an enhanced risk for severe storms, level 3 out of 5. This does include the Dallas area and then surrounding towns and communities. Slight risk even around that, which extends all the way from central Texas, like Abilene, all the way to Shreveport, Louisiana, all the way down to Austin, Texas, all the way up to almost, it does cover Wichita Falls, and it kind of rides the Red River. Let's zone in. We'll zone into this area here in a second, okay? We'll kind of break down the severe weather threat for today. There will be a flash flooding risk today, as basically these storms will develop in north and northeast Texas, and they'll cluster up together, and they will dump a lot of rain from northeast Texas through southern Arkansas and northern Louisiana into the heart of Mississippi. You have at least a 15% risk to see flash flood guidance being met within 25 miles on any given point. So please don't ignore the flooding threat today. It will certainly be there. Certain areas can get a lot of rain. So let's dig a little deeper into what's going to happen today. There is an enhanced risk. This does include, like I said, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It doesn't quite get all the way down to Waco. You guys have a slight risk of severe storms. Stevensville, you guys are kind of like right on the fringe, right in here of the enhanced and severe, but don't, tunnel vision on it, the exact threat level. Just know that certainly if you're in the yellow to orange area you see on your screen right here, you're going to have a pretty heightened risk of severe weather. This does, go all the way up. You got what is this? Let's see. I want to make sure I say the right communities, right towns. Slight risk in Wichita Falls. I got my little map down here. I just want to mention as many towns as possible. But Weatherford, you guys have an enhanced risk. Denton, you guys have an enhanced risk. Basically all the small towns and communities in and around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You guys are going to be under the gun today. So what's the biggest threat? Well, we'll take a look at tornadoes. This is not tornado driven. I mentioned yesterday there was a chance that we could get a 10% chance of a tornado issued, which would be a yellow that you would see up here. Right now, just a 5% chance. But I'm not one of those people who say called it, because I'm a little sarcastic on Twitter. For you folks who follow me on Twitter, you guys know that I'm not just a robotic professional or anything like that. I like to show some personality. I have a little fun. At the end of the day, I always got your back. I look out for you. But I always show some personality on Twitter, and at the end of the day, we did mention yesterday that that yesterday could go enhanced, and it certainly did for damaging winds. And in this case, we did go enhanced, but it wasn't for tornadoes. It's you still got the 5% risk of a tornado in that same enhanced region and areas of the slight risk. So you have a 5% risk to see a tornado within 25 miles on any given point in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and all those other kind of communities I just mentioned in the panel before this. But the reason it went enhanced is because now you have a heightened hail threat, okay, which doesn't surprise me one bit. You have a 30% hatched risk of hail in this region right in here, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This does include Weatherford up to Denton, even all the way up to you pretty much can say the Sherman, Texas area. But large hail is going to be a huge risk today here in North Texas. And not just this, but you're going to have the hatch risk. So in the yellow area, you have the 15% risk of hail. Basically, the criteria is a 30% risk of hail pushing 1 inch or diameter or larger. The yellow you see is the 15% risk of hail pushing 1 inch or diameter or larger. Now, you see the black outlined region right here? That is a hatched risk. What that means is you also have a 10% risk on its own to see large hail pushing 2 inch or diameter or larger. So you have a hatched risk today. I try to explain that every single time, even though it takes time, but I think it's important for the audience to know what a hatched risk is. It doesn't add on to the initial risk. It's its own thing. I think that it confuses people. It even confused me at first, but you also have a 15% risk of damaging winds today, which is also upgraded. So this includes all areas from, all the way back here, to, Weatherford, all the way to Shreveport, Louisiana. So, and then everybody in between. And, just a 15% chance within 25 miles on any given point to see winds pushing 50 knots or higher, which is around 55 to 60 miles per hour. So how can this develop today? Moving through here in time, we'll start off. If you're confused about what time frame we're at, in any video I make, I use Weather Bell a lot. I always will mention what time zone we're in. We're in Central Time, so you back this 3 o'clock up to 2 o'clock, because obviously In Eastern time, this is what this reflects. So we're in Central time. So this is 2 p.m. So I know this is small on some of your phone screens, probably some of your TV screens, but I do want to reiterate that because sometimes I do not mention time. I like to use like day times of the day, like afternoon, late evening, early evening. But anyways, around 3 p.m., you'll have some explosive storms that probably will get going, I would say, just southwest of Wichita Falls. They will quickly explode. You will have a large hail threat in these areas. You see the areas right here, you see in like the pink and purple, that is indicating large hail. And I really think you're going to have kind of a cold punch of air aloft that's what provides hail. When you have that cold air aloft, even at the surface is very warm, maybe very moist. And we talked about the ingredients going to this yesterday. Just above our heads and the upper levels of the atmosphere, you could have an area of cold air or a massive area of cold air. So hail is easily obtained in these storms. So these storms get going, they will be extremely dangerous. I wouldn't say extremely, but they'll be quite dangerous at first with large hail. If you're in this region, basically that entire risk area with all those communities I just mentioned today, if there's a possibility, not everybody has a carport or a garage, I would try to put your cars under something. But this is 5 p.m. This is the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You got some nasty storms. Please do not look at this as if it's exactly going to happen. These storms could be right over in this area. They could be over here. They could be back here. But this is the HRR model trying to figure out where these storms would be in general. This entire area is at risk. So we're around 5 p.m., 6 p.m. We're getting to around dinner time. I expect some explosive thunderstorms in the entire North Texas and Northeast Texas, maybe even down here into Central Texas. The reason you have a slight risk down here into Central Texas is because the environment is there for severe weather, but are you going to have enough oomph to the atmosphere to really initiate these storms? That we're not sure, and that's usually the case when you get really deep into the thermodynamics. But we'll stop it here. 6 p.m., a lot of explosive thunderstorms anywhere in this community, okay? There is going to be a tornado threat. I haven't mentioned that. Like, for example, this is just south of Dallas. You have this storm that has that hook to it right here. There is going to be a little skinny 30 to 40 knot low-level jet, and that is plenty. That's what we call kinematics. That is plenty of ingredients when you mix it with the thermodynamics, which is those higher surface temperatures. Surface as in where you're standing, the highest surface moisture. That's dew points where you're standing. Dew points well into the 60s. Okay, we talked about the ingredients last night. So everything's feeding into this little short wave, exploding these storms today. And then we get into 8 p.m., I would say they begin to leave the Dallas-Fort Worth area and certainly areas back west, Wichita Falls, Weatherford. All these areas will certainly be probably good after, probably dinner time. And then these storms will move into northwest Texas, northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas. Will still be packing a punch. Damaging winds also a threat too. But please watch out for this today, guys. Large hail and then a brief spin up is possible. I would not be surprised if this upgrades to a 10% risk. And I'll be sure to hopefully put this in the link. And then, talking about the tornado threat in this region, this is the updraft helicity swath. This is where it's trying to figure out where you could have a spinning updraft. Okay? And I mean, look at this area. Just Dallas-Fort Worth area right into here. But this area, a few counties south of Dallas. It's really liking the idea of something spinning up down here. But this isn't exact, but I can tell you the HRR model did pretty well with indicating where the most rotating thunderstorms could be in the severe weather events yesterday and 2 days ago, the big one, for Friday. So even these storms will eventually drift into the deep south. So, Shreveport around 9 p.m. could have some rocky weather, a large hail threat, even a small threat for a brief spin up. Damaging winds, though. Watch out. And then this will be more so, I would say, heavy rain in Arkansas, but you could have some strong storms. And these storms will continue to drift throughout Louisiana into the wee hours of the morning, also Mississippi. And like, for example, down here in Jackson, Mississippi, you could have some storms that could pack some punch like really early in the morning tomorrow morning. But up here in northern Mississippi, more so just heavy rain. But down here where you have better moisture at the surface, higher Cape readings, you're probably going to have the potential for some severe weather even overnight. And then we get into tomorrow where some storms will begin to enter Alabama. So that's that. The rest of the southeast, besides what I just talked about here, pretty nice, beautiful spring day. Some dry air has gotten to the region. No storms expected. Nothing in this entire region. It's a beautiful spring day. Get out and do some stuff because there is a chance that as we get into next weekend, we could have a soggy weekend for the South. And we'll talk more about that when we do know. But I mean, this is the 06Z HRRR model. I mean, look at this nasty storm just south. So I'm really, not to go back to the threat in Texas, I'm really thinking that just south of the Dallas-Fort Worth area could have a tornado threat today. But, the city also. So this continues. And we get all the way into Monday morning, and this rain will eventually get all the way into Alabama. So we'll probably wake up tomorrow morning with some rainy conditions, some stormy conditions, especially in central to southern Alabama. The Northeast, not a whole lot to talk about. You're done with all the crazy weather from yesterday. Not a whole lot to talk about. We get into this afternoon, beautiful weather expected. As we're getting into late tonight, I'm talking about really tomorrow morning, some snow showers could get going in central New York State, northern New York State. Some old spring snow showers could get going. This might put a coating, on surfaces up here in northern New York State. So, but outside of that, not a whole lot going on today. The north central U.S., especially in northern plains, take advantage of today. We will have some snow showers, rain showers. This might be just more so rain in Green Bay, but some snow showers possible in the UP of Michigan today, especially as we get to around after lunchtime. This might put a coating on top of any other snow you still got on the ground. Same thing with northern Minnesota. A little piece of energy, but as we're getting to this evening, had some hiccups. Things begin to kind of calm down. Maybe some snow showers, northern North Dakota, but here comes the beginning stages of our big of our big storm coming up, and we'll really begin to be able to look at some short range model guidance as we get into tonight, into tomorrow. Temperatures today, really a beautiful day for a lot of people. Okay, the recovery is on. It's going to be cooler in the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes region, Northeast. Actually, just miserably cold for April 2nd standards. But once you get into Virginia, point south, Western Kentucky, point south, the South, 60s, 70s, even 80s. Beautiful day. Just be careful with the storms today in Texas, southern Oklahoma, and northern Louisiana and Arkansas today. Moving forward, here comes our system. This is kind of the evolution of what will happen based off the GFS, and I should have really had the European pulled up because the European is really what I'm going to use the most. But anyways, both models pretty much agree that there's going to be a massive storm system. So what happens? You see the upper trough digging into the west. Here comes the low pressure into Utah, kind of skirts its way into Colorado. And then this number right here, which is the millibars, it's kind of like hurricane season. The lower that millibar, the stronger the system. It begins to drop, heavy snow breaking out over. And I'm going to get more detailed than what I'm showing you. I'm just showing the more broad evolution of this storm. And this storm begins to strengthen. It's already strong, takes a negatively tilted trough with it, and snow breaking out over the Dakotas. And then this is for kind of Tuesday PM sometime. There should be some nasty storms. Even though you just see blobs of green, there should be some nasty storms developing somewhere down here in the middle of the country, right here into the Midwest and then the Mississippi Valley. And then we'll watch a nasty squall line that I think could potentially form somewhere in eastern Kansas, Missouri, down to Oklahoma, Arkansas, maybe up to Iowa. We have to watch that. But the exact storm mode, we are still a little unsure on. Let's talk on the severe weather portion of this, and I have two panels pulled up. This is the Storm Prediction Center outlook. 2 enhanced regions. It's another bimodal setup, and this is crazy. It's almost a carbon copy of what we just saw 2 or 3 days ago. You have an enhanced region up here, okay, which includes basically the northern half of Illinois, the northern half of Missouri, and then the southeast half of Iowa. And then there's a little breakage right here, but I can tell you this will probably connect just like it did last time when confidence increases. Then you have the southern mode. This does include Little Rock. This does include portions of the Butte and of Missouri, Boot Hill, Missouri, southeast Missouri, southern Missouri. The far northeast Texas could get more into this, and then more of Oklahoma could get more into this. So, yeah. We got it again, guys. So let's zone into these areas. Okay, Chicago, you have an enhanced risk right now. Up here to Janesville, even up to Milwaukee, almost all the way up to Madison, you guys have a slight risk of severe storms. Des Moines right now, a slight risk. But once you get into some of those same communities like Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, you have an enhanced risk again. Peoria, it's always almost trips me out. It's like a 3 setup kind of deal. Peoria, Illinois, enhanced risk again. St. Louis, you might as well say, even though literally the enhanced and slight risk outline kind of cuts right through the area, you might as well say you guys have an enhanced risk of severe storms. That's a level 3 out of 5. And then Kansas City, you are under an enhanced risk. Okay, about the only thing we can look at is day 3 is look at the probability. So at day 3, we only see the chance for severe weather. We don't have a breakdown of a tornado, hail, and damaging wind threat. So what it's saying now is you have a 30% risk of severe weather within 25 miles at any given point in this red area. Here's the legend down here on your screen. I'll get a little bit more down here. The yellow area, that's a 15% risk of severe weather. But if you notice, the black outlined area includes almost all of these areas. Okay, so that's also a 10% risk to see significant severe weather within 25 miles in any given location. That could be an EF2 or stronger tornado. That could be damaging winds pushing 65 knots or higher, which is hurricane force winds. Or that could be large hail pushing 2-inch diameter or larger. Okay, there's a southern mode to this. Okay, this huge enhanced risk down here also, not quite as big to the north, but don't focus too much on that. This includes the Ozarks, this includes Little Rock, this includes Jonesboro, this includes all the way up into Poplar Bluff, portions of the Boot Hill, Missouri, central Missouri, northern Missouri, Arkansas, central Arkansas, western Arkansas, northeast Texas, southeast Oklahoma. Right now in Memphis, you just have a marginal risk, but this could change. Shreveport, slight risk. So Tulsa, slight risk. And same kind of deal, guys. I mean, it's not much different. You just have a 30% risk of severe weather within 25 miles at a given point. And then the hatch risk, a 10% risk of significant severe weather down here. So we kind of talked about this last night for any new viewers. And I'm going to include you guys in Wisconsin too. I had somebody say, what about us in Wisconsin? Trust me, I show Wisconsin a lot of love. But we'll start it off Tuesday morning, and not a whole lot going on. And let's see if we can get this in motion here. Going to have to click this. Pivotal weather can be kind of moody sometimes. Tuesday morning, not a whole lot going on. Getting into Tuesday afternoon around 1-2 p.m. Still just some splotchy convection down there in Arkansas, but then we get into Tuesday, and this is the European. This is Tuesday afternoon. This is a little different, but we have supercells, and I know you just see blobs of yellow and orange on your screen, but this is just global models. That's the only thing we can look at as of this morning. Once we get into tonight, really into tomorrow, we can really take a look at the NAM and the HRRR model. But this just tells me basically that we're going to have prefrontal supercells. And remember, you have the environment in front of the cold front that is pulled up from the surface low, where you got higher dew points. You have high CAPE levels, and then you have your best kinematic environment, probably, in most cases. And if anything forms ahead of the main line of storms, we call that prefrontal convection, or storms, or supercells. And in general, this is where the worst weather can occur. And it's showing this from, eastern Oklahoma all the way up to Iowa. Okay. And so there's going to be some nasty storms. We're getting into late Tuesday evening. And then I would say sometime Tuesday night, I would think a potentially damaging line of storms can develop along the cold front. And then I think that this could mean business, and this could potentially be from Dallas-Fort Worth area all the way into Iowa, and this will sweep through, North Texas, Arkansas throughout the overnight hours Tuesday night, and then we're still dealing with it Wednesday morning, okay? And this is starting to make its way into southern Illinois, Indiana, western Kentucky, and knocking on the doorstep of western Tennessee, okay? So the ingredients going into this, and we'll mention the northern section too. I don't want to leave you guys hanging out. hanging here. But I mean, Tuesday afternoon, look up here in Wisconsin, some storms are showing. Look at the snow nearby. And, you guys are going to have the risk up here too. But you got to watch out. Tuesday evening, look at this area of convection showing up in northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin. This is like Tuesday evening around dinner time. Look at this strong surface low roll by. This is providing a ton of ingredients into this area. And we certainly need to watch out. Look at these storms really close to. This isn't one gigantic storm. That would be a massive storm. It's just in general showing where convection can be, storm development can be. And you see a lot in northern Illinois, even in northeast Iowa, southern Wisconsin, okay? So, and then here comes the line of storms behind it. Ingredients going into this, a lot of moist air. We're not going to stay too long on this. We kind of did this last night, and I'm kind of running low on time. Got to get to church this morning. But you're getting into Tuesday afternoon. In general, we'll look at this and say, hey, we have an extreme moist atmosphere out here. This is for Tuesday afternoon. Dew points into the 60s, almost all the way up to Chicago, all the way up to Iowa. So look at this and say, hey, this is a massive moist sector. This is what you call thermodynamic, surface dew points. And in response to high dew points into the 60s, which dew points in the 60s, just think of it like this. Once you get dew points in the 60s, it really starts to support severe weather if you have other ingredients on the table, which in this case, you will have a ton of ingredients. But this continues to have a ton of moist air just sitting here, parked over this region until the cold front sweeps in and dries out the atmosphere and kills any kind of severe weather. But even in a Tuesday morning, a huge moist environment that gets all the way up into southern Michigan. In response to these higher dew points, you have high CAPE levels. And I hate that I have to keep coming up here and pushing this, but it is what it is. So high dew points normally means big time surface heating, means you have high CAPE levels. So Tuesday lunchtime, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., you already have CAPE values almost peaking at 3,500 joules per kilogram ML CAPE, mixed layer CAPE, which is the best thing to look at. And when you're seeing this on global models, that is danger territory. This continues to build into Illinois, and down here, a lot of CAPE showing up, well over 2,000, maybe even 2,500 joules per kilogram, and to northeast Arkansas, the boot of Missouri, western Tennessee, Mississippi, and I mean, look at this, over 3,000 joules per kilogram moving into western Illinois, an extreme dangerous environment for severe storms. Okay, and this continues, and even along the storms. I mean, look down here. There's a lot of fuel. You got to watch out for these line of storms. I promise you, if I'm missing any parts of your state, I will get detailed. You guys will know at least an idea of what's going to happen. So these videos are already pushing 40, 50 minutes long, and I'm trying to do my best here. If I leave you hanging, it's not intentionally. Ask some questions, and I'm here to answer them. But we'll get a more broader look at this wind field, and in general, the wind field will broaden throughout the day Tuesday, and by the time you are into Tuesday evening, you have a massive low-level jet on the northern side of the system. Heck, I mean, it even shows it on the western side of the system, which tells me there's going to be big-time blizzard conditions. But really look at Missouri, 50 to 60 knot low-level jet. These are what we call kinematics, and when you mix it, the overlapping with high-end kinematics, the favorable wind pattern that puts the speed and directional winds in the atmosphere that really spins these updrafts. You mix it with these higher CAPE levels, higher dew points, higher surface temperatures, higher CAPE levels. That's when you have a massive broad area for a severe weather outbreak, and that is going to be the case. Huge low-level jet that extends all the way from Texas into the Great Lakes region. So dangerous situation. The last frame of the NAM, it doesn't show any storm development, all the way up to 1 p.m. But I guarantee you, if you would go another 3 or 4 hours, you would have massive storm development into this portion of the country, right into here. You would begin to have some big storm development, okay, right into here. And then you go another couple more hours and, you might have some more, I'm not just circling areas, but it's still early in the day to the time frame that the NAM goes out. But I can tell you, this is a massive blizzard into here. This is a lot of snow that's going to fall in this region, and blizzard conditions at that. So talking about the snowy side of this, the latest Euro Heavy snow falling as early as Monday morning in southern Ohio. You keep this going, by the time you're getting into Monday evening, heavy snow still falling in eastern. If I said Ohio, I apologize. I'm southern Wyoming. I am. You know, guys, I like to mix up the states. I like to just test you guys, you know. But eastern Wyoming, heavy snow falling. This begins to make its way into northwestern Nebraska and then into eastern South Dakota as we're getting into Tuesday morning. And then this is when the all-out blizzard conditions crank up, even for eastern Wyoming, South Dakota. And then by the time we're into the middle of the day Tuesday, when we have a severe weather event happening on the southeast of the low, we have a blizzard ongoing into the Dakotas and then including western Nebraska. And it's still snowing in eastern Wyoming. And this continues all the way into Wednesday morning, and it's still snowing. It tapers off finally in Wyoming and Nebraska, but the eastern sections of the Dakotas, low pressure right here, it is still snowing very hard, 1 to 2 inch per hour rates, and the winds are insane. And it's still, I mean, as you get into Wednesday afternoon, it's still snowing in North Dakota. I go to your folks in Minnesota, and same kind of deal. There's going to be a corridor also of mixed precipitation in probably central Minnesota, but heavy snow. International Falls, you're going to get a banger of a winter storm up here. This is going to be a huge early April snowstorm that really gets cranked up, I would say, late Tuesday night, goes all the way through. But look at all this ice showing up. I mean, eventually all this ice comes all the way up into northern Minnesota. This could be a hefty freezing rain event, but a lot of snow falling in this region. And not to leave you guys hanging in the upper Midwest, including Wisconsin, but this could be a big event for you guys too, especially far northern Wisconsin. Unfortunately, for my folks who view from the UP of Michigan, this looks like a tricky mixed bag of precipitation setup. I think winter weather moves into the area sometime Tuesday p.m. Could start out as snow, might mix with a lot of sleet and freezing rain, but you guys could potentially see snow to sleet to freezing rain, then maybe just the plain rain in this area. But as far as snow, this is the National Weather Service forecast. This area in Wyoming, they're going for almost 3 feet of snow, guys, right here. And I'll mention some towns and cities in Wyoming here in the next couple videos. But northwest Nebraska, going for areas that could see 1 to 2 feet of snow. Pretty much all of South Dakota except southeast South Dakota. Anywhere from a foot to 2 feet to maybe 2.5 feet of snow. Historic, okay? And then southern and eastern North Dakota, same kind of deal. Maybe not quite as much widespread for the state, but a lot of snow into these regions. Okay, you get into the upper Midwest, and it kind of cuts off Minnesota somewhat. But same thing, Minnesota, a lot of snow will fall for you folks. Could get some... And it's still snowing, and what stinks is, I'm probably going to have to switch to the blend of all models because it is still snowing in a lot of these areas. But, areas bordering Lake Superior and northeast of Minnesota will get potentially, 8 to 12, 13, 14 inches of snow and a huge snow events for you folks in the northern terrain of Minnesota. But a couple inches of snow possible in northern Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan. But one thing I want to watch for is ice in this region. You have some nasty ice totals showing up with 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of ice in northern Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan. So you could certainly get some sleet and some freezing rain mixing with this. Little girl's starting to yell in the background. That tells me that I need to wrap this video up. But Tuesday morning, the winds really pick up in the Dakotas. You already got winds 15, 25 miles per hour. But as we're getting into Tuesday afternoon, winds begin to really push 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. This will be a wind-driven snow is what I was trying to say. And it is snowing like crazy with blizzard conditions. And then as we're getting into the overnight hours Tuesday night, you get sporadic 40 to 50 at times, 60 mile per hour wind gust. And then as we're getting to Wednesday morning, it's still snowing in these areas. The meat of the storm starting to shift northeast, but you have a lot of blowing, wet snow, 50 to 60 at times, 70 mile per hour wind gusts in this area. And then on the backside of the low, some strong winds can move through eastern areas of South Dakota, southwest sections, and southern sections of Minnesota and northern Wyoming, where 50 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts can move through. And then finally it wraps up. So I will do this again tonight. Stay tuned. Thank you all for the support. Please get the word out on what's going on. Don't let anybody get caught off guard. Don't let anybody go to a concert Tuesday or any kind of outdoor activities. Just stay put and be prepared of what's coming. God bless all y'all, and I'll talk to y'all this evening.